Hello, it is Acacia Developer here, and welcome back to my Portal 2 Beginners Mapping tutorial. Now, in the previous video, we kind of ran out of time to do everything that I wanted to do in that video. So, in this video, we're pretty much going to do what I was expecting to do in the previous video. But anyway, let's get started. So first of all, I want to demonstrate how no draw works and how you can potentially optimize your map. So first of all, what I want to do is I'm going to remove this frame from this indicator here. I'll just drag it across. And as you can see, this reveals these weird looking textures on the side of this geometry. And what I want to do is I want to apply a no draw texture to these, so the actual sides of this indicator won't render. And you may be asking, well, you know, it will look glitchy in game, won't it, if these sides aren't rendering? But of course it doesn't matter, because these sides are going to be covered by this frame here, which will go on top of it. I can't even get it on. That's how good I am. Okay, it's on now, but as you can see, the frame is covering these sides, so the player isn't actually going to be able to see them. So this is why it's appropriate to apply a no draw texture here, and these won't render. Therefore, this will put less strain on your computer when trying to render all the stuff in the game. So it opened up on the... For some reason, all the windows are opening up on my other monitor. Is weird. But anyway, here it is. So I've opened up the texture... Is that the texture application? Yeah, it's the texture application. And yeah, I've shown you this before. This can be used to scale and shift textures. But this can also be used for selecting single sides of geometry. So for example, I've got, if you look at the icon I have here, just click on this, and as you can see, it will only select one side as opposed to selecting the whole thing and texturing it. So this is very useful for stuff like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this top bit. We're going to hold down Control. We're going to select this bit. And we're just going to run around the whole thing. Right, so we've selected all the sides. And once you've done that, you're going to want to hit Browse here. And in the filter, you're going to type No Draw. Now what you want, you may get this, these textures here. This one is No Draw Glass Footsteps and No Draw Portable. What we want is just tools, no draw. So this one at the top, in the top left. We select that, double click on it. Right. So now this texture has been selected in this window, and all we need to do now is hit apply, and no draw has been applied to all the sides we selected of this geometry. Of course, once we're done, we're going to put our frame back on. And now this piece of geometry is optimized. So, also, what I probably forgot is if we go on the back here, look, you could also, the back has an indicator texture on it as well. So we can just select this and we can apply no draw to this as well. So I nearly forgot that, nearly. Okay, so that's that textured no draw. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch into the game without putting the frame back over to show you what it looks like. So as we can see here, here's our indicator with the frame off. And you can see that there is, it doesn't have any sides anymore. The only thing you can see is this little plane here that's textured with the indicator. But all the sides, they're missing and they're invisible. And this is pretty much what no draw does. And essentially, you apply no draw to any, places where the player can't see certain faces. So that, you know, this is very, very, very useful. And it's very important too, so if you're making a rather large map and you want to keep it running smoothly, then it's best to keep it optimized. And the best way to do this, I've found, is to apply no draw as you go, as you're making your map. And it makes it so much easier. And of course, I'm going to see you back in Hammer Editor. Hello, we are now back in the editor, and before we start, of course we're going to drag this frame over so it looks normal again. There we go. And what we're going to do now is, if we kind of fly out to the outside of our level, oh look, there's a load of faces that the player isn't going to see, that is, you know, the outside of the map. And pretty much the engine is going to be wasting time rendering these faces. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of these. I think you already know what we're going to do. We're going to select the texture application here. And then all we need to do is control and select all these faces around the outside. There we go. Of course, don't forget the ceiling and the floor as well, because there we go, they were a bit hidden. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hit browse, select our no draw, apply, and there we go. And the entirety of the outside of our test chamber is now optimized with no draw, so we don't have to worry about this being rendered. If we go back inside, there's also some other bits that need to be optimized as well. One bit that you probably didn't know was the archways. I'm not sure if you were if you paid this much attention, but originally when we copied and pasted these archways from a different map, these little bits on the inside here, they were originally textured with no draw. But, you know, for the sake of simplicity, I selected the whole thing and retextured it, and of course it got rid of the no draw texture, which is annoying, but it's alright. So what we want to do is we want to just select these individual little bits that make up these archways and go all the way to the top. I must admit that this is a bit tedious, but it's pretty much the only way I think we're going to be able to do it. Okay, so we've got one archway selected. I'll just go browse and apply no draw here. Of course, these are faces that the player can't see because they're on the actual inside of the door. So we're never going to see these faces at all when we're playing the game. And optimization is one of the, you know, the big things of map creation. Is very important. And there are also some other ways you can optimize in Hammer Editor, but of course, since this is only a beginner's tutorial, I'm not going to cover that. But there we go. There's our no draw textured on the inside of our archways. Now, I'll tell you what I've done. I was an idiot. I accidentally duplicated. I've actually duplicated the archways instead of actually dragging them across. So I apologize for that. I made a copy. By the way, this is an interesting thing to learn. To make copies of things, you can literally, you just go into your 2D viewport, any 2D viewport you want, whether it's bird's eye view or side view, and you can actually select these, hold down shift, and as you drag, and then just let go, and there you go, you've duplicated these faces here. That's what I did. I shouldn't have done that, but I've deleted the original archways here now, and now I'm going to drag these new ones in, and that should be done. Of course, that kind of demonstrates how to use no draw. I'm just demonstrating at this point, but of course, there are many other things you could apply no draw to. Like if we go onto the floor here, that there's still faces here under the floor that is showing that the player will never see in the game. So, of course, it's just a case of doing all that, but, you know, since this is a tutorial, I don't want to waste my time no drawing everything. I think you pretty much get the concept of no draw now, and how it works. But what we're going to do now is we're going to be focusing on some moving platforms, and specifically, I had an idea that there could be a moving platform here. The kind of idea I had was to kind of have like an platform elevator kind of thing, and when a button is pressed or something, the platform will then rise upward, and it would stop here at this point, and maybe there could be like a little stand here or something with like a portal gun on it, so the player can actually get up here and get a portal gun. Of course, in this video as well, we're going to be learning how to implement the portal gun, so the user can pick it up and use it. Anyway, let's begin. So first of all, our platform is going to be here, but I personally think there needs to be a bit of a indent in the floor, if you know what I mean, in order to implement our platform. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to implement the platform model. So we're just going to click on the entity tool here, and then like always we're going to navigate to our objects. Now if you remember, for the frame, for the indicator, we used a prop static before, but in this situation, since we want a platform, a moving platform, we need to implement it as a prop dynamic. Now once you've selected prop dynamic, you can put it into the level, and we'll double click on this, and it will show your properties window. Under world model, we're going to click browse, and of course I've already typed this in because before I begin any of my tutorials, I like to check whether or not there's a model which suits, you know, the actual place where I want to put it in my test chamber. But all you do in the filters, you just type platform, and you can scroll down, look for a few different platforms. If you want your test chamber to be Portal 2 style, there's some Portal 2 like platforms here. But as for this tutorial, I'm going to be using this basic platform here. It's got like little rails at the side. I believe this, you know, it looks like a model from Portal 1 or something. I think there are a few models in here that from Portal 1, but we've implemented this. Now let me just check what it looks like in the 2D view, bird's eye view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale up the grid. Remember the curly brackets with the curly brackets. And if we look here, this actual model is scaled rather well. It's kind of scaled to the grid. In this situation, what we want to do is we're just going to drag this down so it meets the floor. And this is what I was talking about when I wanted to implement an indent on the floor, because the kind of platform is going to start way into the floor and we don't really want that. So we've kind of got our shape, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut a hole in the floor using the shape of the model. So this is a new little tool that I wanted to show you, and if we go to the left, we can see it here. It's called the clipping tool. We're just going to click on that, and once we've clicked on the clipping tool, we can go into the bird's eye view, and we can drag on the point where you want there to be a cut in the floor. Just drag a line. And as you can see in the 3D view, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a white line going across the screen here, symbolizing the cut. Now, as you can see here in the bird's eye view, there seems to be a red bit and there's a white bit. Now, the red bit means that this side of the floor is going to disappear when you make a cut. And obviously we don't want that. So if we want to make a cut now, all we do is press enter. And as you can see, this floor has completely disappeared and we don't want that. So we're going to go Control Z to undo that. And we're going to go back to our clipping tool again and do that. Right. So how do we cut whilst retaining both sides of the test chamber floor? Well, what we do is we drag our line out and we come over here to the clipping tool and we click the button. And as you can see, it's swapped the sides. So now the other side is going to be deleted and the floor this side is going to be retained. And we don't want that either, so we just click again. And now both sides are white. So pretty much all this will do is make the cut, but it will keep both of these faces. And of course both of these pieces of geometry will become separate objects once you cut them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press enter. There we go. They are now two separate faces, but they're still there. And the next thing we want to do is we've made our cut here. We now want to make a cut here. So we're going to select this face, and in the bird's eye view, we're going to draw another line here to cut. There you go. The white line has appeared. Always remember, if you're in doubt, always look for the white line in the 3D view to make sure that you're cutting in the right place. Now we just press enter. These are now two separate faces. Now you've got to be very careful because you might be thinking, oh, you know, this is its own face now, we can now drag it down. And no, it's not, because if we look in the 3D view, there's still a part of it sticking through the wall. And another part is going through this little room here, in here. See that? So what we're going to do is we're going to apply the last two cuts, which is here, right on the wall line here, and here, right on the wall line here. Now, this object under this prop should be its own object, and we can kind of stretch it down if we want. See that? And there we go. There's our little indentation on the floor. Now, our model should fit very nicely into this little hole we've made. And there you have it. So there's our kind of platform there. Also, what I quickly wanted to do was I wanted to create a little podium under this platform. And so basically, when the platform rises, there'll be a little kind of pillar under it, so it looks like it's being supported by something. So what we can do is we can create a piece of geometry here. Just drag it down here. And we'll have that like so. And of course here we're not gonna texture it, no draw. Let's just find some sort of default metal texture we can throw on it quickly. And there we go, there's our like little podium thing. We may have to extend this down later, but for now I think it will look fine. So now what we need to do is we now need to make this so it can move. Fair enough, we've made it a prop dynamic, meaning that it can move, but in order to make it move, we need to apply a brush to it. So what we want to do now is we want to apply a brush to this platform, and this brush will act as kind of like the platform, and the platform model will be attached to this brush as a parent. What we're going to do is we're going to drag, oh, I need to increase the grid size a bit. We're going to drag our brush over the platform. As you can see here, I've got a texture selected, and it's called invisible. If you just type into the filter invisible and double click on invisible, and we just press enter, and make sure that your platform has invisible selected. And basically this brush, the invisible, it will allow this piece of geometry to interact with player physics and normal physics in general for props, but it's just completely invisible. So think of it as a normal floor, but it's completely invisible. And this will serve as our moving platform, or our elevator platform, because it's going to be moving upward. Now what we want to do is we need to go Control T with this piece of geometry selected, Control T, and of course we've turned it into a func detail, but we don't want that. What we want is a func move linear. Func move linear is really good for 2-level elevators, so you either have a bottom floor or a top floor. If you're making multi-level elevators or multi-level platforms, you may have to use something a bit different. But since we've only got 2 levels, we've got the bottom here and we've got the top up here, then we can use a func move linear. Now what we can do, we can specify the speed. I'm going to set it to around 50. You might find that when specifying the speed, it will be a bit of trial and error. So it may be that you set the speed to 25 and then you open the game and then you realise it's too slow. Then you can go back into the editor and, you know, turn it up a bit. And that's usually what I do. So don't worry about this. This is kind of experimental. For the move distance, we're going to look at that in a minute. What I want to do is specify the move direction. Of course, this only specifies a direction, either, you know, front, forward, back, left or right, and we don't really want that. What we want is, if we select this drop down box here, we can select up or down, and we want up because our platform is going to be moving upward. Now if we go to the move distance, this is where you have to follow me closely because you may get a little confused. There is no way of really knowing how much distance there is off the top of your head. You can't really think, oh, I'm going to estimate this, and I highly recommend that you don't experiment with this like you would with the speed. It's really not worth it. When I begun mapping, I remember I used to keep experimenting with the move distance, and then I found this ridiculously easier way of doing it. So this is the easier way. What we're going to do is we're going to go into one of the side views. I'm probably going to go for this view here because it looks the cleanest and there's not too many things in the way. But what we need to do is, if we select our geometry tool here, and you see this is the top of our func move linear. Oh, I think we need to decrease the actually, in fact, make sure that this is matched up to the grid, so just drag this up a bit. Okay, right, now we can go to our geometry tool, and what we're going to do is we're going to drag a box from the very top of the brush here, the func move linear. I'm going to drag it all the way up to the top of the platform. This line represents the top of if we go back into the thing, this platform here. And as you can see, we can see that the box here it's correct, it's displaying correctly, and it's right on the it's right on the edge. And if we look, there are measurements on the side of this box here, and we can see that the height is 156. And basically this is kind of like the difference between the top of the move linear to the top of the platform. And this is the value that we need to enter into move distance, so 156. And then we click apply. So now we don't actually have to create any geometry here, we just click this arrow up here to cancel it. What we've done in effect is we've measured the distance from here to up here, and by doing that we've specified the distance for it to move. So hopefully now when this moves, it should move up to here and it should stop right on the edge of the platform up here. Now of course we can specify sounds when the brush starts moving, so this is a nice sound. The sound played when the brush stops moving. This is when the brush completely stops. And what we want is not a loop sound, but a single sound, just a... Yep, this is a nice sound. Arrive is a nice sound. So that sound will play as soon as the platform stops moving. So we're going to click apply to that. Now we're going to provide it a name also. So we're going to call it platform 01, something like that if you want. And we'll exit that. Now before we do anything else, we're just going to double click on our model. And if you look here, there's an option for parent. And under parent, we're going to select our platform 01. So that means that this model will move with this brush here, which is platform 1. And in addition, this here, we're going to go Control T. We're then going to change it to a funk brush. And by changing it to a funk brush, we can now parent this with platform 1 as well. So now this platform and the little pillar under it that supports the platform will be moving with platform 01. Now what we're going to do is we're going to test it. And in order to test it, I'm going to implement a button quickly, a very quick button. If we go to prop underscore button, we can insert one of these. You'll be familiar with these type of buttons if you play Portal 2, and we just double click on it. And then we go to outputs, and then in outputs we can click add, and of course we can select our on pressed output. So when this button is pressed, when you go up to it and press E, we're going to say that platform 01 is going to open. And also what I want to specify in here is we're going to click add, click on this drop down box. On fully open, platform 01, which is itself, is going to close again. So pretty much when we press this button, this is going to rise up, and as soon as it's open, it's going to close again. But you see, we don't want it to close as soon as it opens, because we want to give the player time to walk off this platform onto, you know, this little area up here. So what we want to do is there's a box here which says after a delay in seconds of. So basically this will be executed once the platform is fully open, and it will wait a number of seconds. So let's say we want to wait 1.5 seconds. That's fair. So that will give the player 1.5 seconds to walk off the platform once it's hit the top here. So alright, we're going to exit all that and we're going to test it in game. Hello, we are now in game, and as you can see, our button and our platform are now in the test chamber. If we press the button, the platform moves up, and the platform moves back down again. And as you can see, this will work for the cube as well, for cube physics. So if we press this button, it'll go up, push the cube off, we can put the cube on it if we want, and it will move up, and then it will move back down again. Now what I'm going to say is if I press this button here, we can move up on the platform, and there we go, we are now up here. And that's how you can implement kind of like an elevator platform. Now, of course, there are still a few things to improve. For example, this pillar down here it's not long enough. It's kind of floating in midair. And of course, you can go under as well if you want to, under the platform, And we've just trapped ourselves. Alright, let's go back into Hammer Editor and see if we can fix this pillar problem. Now, one of the strange things about Hammer Editor is that if we, for example, if we stretch this as, you know, stretch this out so we make it longer, so we just disable texture stretching. But one of the strange things is naturally this is what I would do. I'd kind of stretch it out, so there's enough there. But the problem is when you have an entity like this, because this geometry isn't actually just a default piece of geometry, it's actually an entity. It can't actually be outside the map. And this black area all the way around this map is referred to as the void. And if there's an entity, such as Funk Brush, sticking out in the void, you'll get an error, and it will say, no, we can't have this, you can't have entities in the void. So, my simple solution is, and it's rather simple, is to stretch this over, kind of, the pillar, like so. Or alternatively, what I like to do is I like to kind of cover the whole pillar in like a little room, and then I can put like a light in there so the pillar is lit up so it doesn't look weird. So we can just stretch this over. I don't suppose this really matters since this is a tutorial. It's probably a bit of a lazy way of doing it, but I'm just showing you one of the ways you can stop errors, especially when there's entities outside the test chamber in the void. Right, so anyway, we've got that done. I'm just going to start up Portal 2 again to see how that looks. Okay, so now we're back in Portal 2. We can press this button, and as you can see, the pillar kind of rises with it, and it will go back down with it again, so that's quite nice. And click this, go up, and there we go. So I think that's more or less our platform completed. Now, as I showed you earlier, you can potentially get trapped under here. It may be an idea that if you do create your real map, you could create, like, you can't even get out either, can you? But it might be an idea that if we just no clip out of this. No clip. Oh. I swear, yeah, I binded V to no clip. There we go. So I can no clip. But, what I'd recommend is that if you're making a real map, is that you have some sort of invisible brush here, right here under this platform, so it stops the user, or it stops the player from being able to get in under here, because if you do, you end up trapped, and you're going to have to restart the map, and that's not a good idea. It's always important, it's always a good thing to... What's happened to the indicator lights? I thought we put like indicator lights on the wall when that went onto the floor to the button. Let me check this out in the editor, people. There's something has happened and I don't know what's happened. Ironically, I was about to finish up the tutorial and then I realised that the indicator lights had completely disappeared for some reason. Let's take a look at them. Here we go, brush faces. For some reason, this face here isn't assigned to this overlay. So I guess we just click pick and then we can click on that face. Yeah, okay then. Okay, so here's another tip. Whenever overlays spuriously disappear in your level, just select them and reapply them to the floor brush face. There we go, apply. There we go, so we've now reapplied all those. I apologise for that. I'm not sure what happened to them. It may have been that we edited the floor a bit, I'm not sure. Maybe applying the no draw, stretching this down, I'm not sure. But if overlays do ever disappear, then just double click on them and look in brush faces. And if this is empty, then all you do is click pick and you select the face that you want it to apply to. Anyway, I said that I was going to implement a portal gun. I believe we don't have any more time for that today. This button, I may remove it, I'm not sure, but it's just here as kind of like a placeholder to activate this platform here. So I really hope this tutorial helped you. Thank you very much for watching, and of course I'll see you in the next tutorial.